Oh, thank you so much. What a wonderful film. Thank you, Vincey. Now, Vincey's going to join us here. That's his chair, that's his microphone, and he's just gone to get an LP and a DVD and CD. He's going to take some questions and answers right now, and I'm going to run around with this microphone so everybody's question can be heard. So please stay for the balance of the program. And also know that for those folks who are walking out the door, the CD and the LP, everything is for sale in the back of the room today. So let me... Are there questions for Vincey?
There was a few there now. That's a kind of an edited version of it now. It goes on for about another half an hour, the one that's in here. So, there's quite a few, 3 or 4 more songs at least, and some other tunes and some other stuff in it. But we felt like we should edit it down some of it kind of drags on a little bit maybe, but it was a great experience for me to do this with Paddy Egan. We were lucky enough that Paddy came over from London, where he lives now, and he's going to be in town next Wednesday, and we're going to have the launch of this record at the Plough and Stars on next Thursday night, so that should be fun. Plus my sister Mary Noonan, who was singing there, a relation of Darcy's here, Darcy's cousin. She was singing there, and she's coming too. And there's another young singer that actually is on the longer version of the video. Brian O'Halloran is his name. And Brian and his mother, Brian is about 17 or 18, I think, and he does a bunch of local songs around Shanaglish. And the song that he does is called The Turkey Trotters. And that's a kind of an amusing song about he's involved in he is in horses. He likes jumping fences with horses and that kind of thing. His family, or his father as well, Noel, is involved in it too. And they have this event the day after Christmas on St. Stephen's Day back there, where all the local horsey guys, the guys that are into the horses, and they jump over the farmers' walls and fences and go for a bit of a hunt. And I think the reason that it's called the Turkey Trotters, I've been told, is that they're trying to get the turkey down from the previous day out of the... So there's a bit of... That's kind of where that song comes from. But that one is in the longer version of it now, Brian. And he's going to be in town, which I'm sure he will do it at the Plough for us too. And the tin whistle player that was playing the tin whistle is my brother Seamus. And unfortunately he passed away there about 6 weeks ago. And he got cancer and he died. But anyway, I was very happy that we had him on the recording, because he literally played every day as long as I've known him. He was playing since he was about 6 or 7 years old and played the tin whistle all the time. So if anybody has any question about anything.
Vincey, up here. Derek.
Derek, how are you?
Thanks for the great film. Thank you so much. And so happy that we've had an opportunity to be at Whelan's with you for a session one time. And I was just wondering if was there any resistance or... to bringing in media or shyness or from anybody in the community when you suggested the project?
Well, maybe a little bit, it was like everything else in Ireland. If you're only having a cup of tea, you have to ask 3 times, No, I won't. But then they really want it anyway, So there was a bit of that going on, but, I'm well used to that, so that was no problem really. But most people kind of just enjoyed the project, and that's kind of what they would do there anyway. Somebody would ask them to sing a song, and they'd go for it and give it their best shot. And we kind of wanted to keep it that way too. Like, if somebody got the words wrong, we weren't going to have them redo it or anything like that. Or if they missed a verse or something, fine, leave it alone. So that's kind of the feeling we were going for there.
Thank you very much. It reminded me of my best times in Ireland. I have a question about the Mexican waltz.
Oh, yes.
It sounded very, very much to me like a Jewish or a Yiddish song that I'm familiar with.
Oh, maybe so. No, that I wouldn't know the answer to that, because Paddy Egan got it from the Kessinger brothers, I believe he said there. They were like Appalachian mountain musicians, and he learned it there a couple of years ago. And he had that idea that we should feature this because it was a very unusual and beautiful tune that I hadn't heard before anyway, so I don't think it's a very common tune at all. So we were kind of wanted to do that as well. We wanted to like kind of veer away a bit from kind of the standard way that a session might be recorded too. You know, we're kind of going for more waltzes and singing, and you know, even the step dancing there when Paddy was doing the Shannos dancing. That's a part of the tradition too. You know, so we enjoyed doing that too. It was fun.
It's kind of in the same vein that to me the music is international. I spent a long time in Louisiana, and the fiddle and the accordion is very much like the box. I'm not sure what it's called.
Yeah.
Very similar, and just the melodies and the intensity of it is very similar to Cajun music.
Oh, I'd say, you know, they would be all connected, like, at some point anyway, because, you know, a lot of the American Appalachian music would have came from Ireland and Scotland, and I know the Cajun stuff is more French, but it's probably all intertwined there at some point, you know.
It was a surprise to see the singing for the Diddle Die. It was like seeing a fiddle or accordion sung, and I was just curious, is that done very much?
Not so much anymore now, but the reason that I included that in the record was that my mother used to tell me when we were young that they used to have these, what they call house dances. When somebody might get married, or maybe like the week after the wedding, they'd have kind of a party for the family, or maybe for somebody's birthday. And many times it was because somebody was immigrating to the America or going to England, which were not very happy events. But she was saying that it might only be, you know, one fiddler would have to play the music all night long, or an accordion player. And sometimes they mightn't show up at all. They might be down the pub, or wouldn't come for a few hours late, kind of thing. And this is what they used to do. They used to do lilting. We used to call it didling. That's what she called it. But it's better known as lilting. So like that they knew the tunes in their head, so that they would just diddle out the tune just like I did there on that one. And people would be dancing sets to all the, you know, the best guy around the place to diddle the tunes, or lilt the tunes, would be the person that'd be picked out to do it. And then the musician might show up at 11 o'clock, so all is good, you know. So
Vincey, I wonder if you can talk about what you've told me about Joe Kearney and both his tradition of telling stories, but also his accent, how unique that is.
Yeah, he comes from a place called Gorta Vohar. Gorta was the famine, and the Vohar was the road. So it probably was a bad place at one time. It's about a mile from Shanaglish, down the road, like a mile down. He's a farmer, and I think he's like 6 or 7 sisters. There's a bunch of girls in the family, and he was the only son. So when he was about 14 or 15, when he left the national school, he went working on the farm with his father, and he actually never went to high school or secondary school, as we called it over there. So he maintained the accent, which he might have lost if he had been, you know, mixing with more people when he was a child, we'll say. But he was working on the farm. And now he's become a kind of a mini celebrity because he's been asked to do these stories all over the place, you know, at various folk clubs around the country now over the last year or two. Only recently, since this happened, and he was maybe a little bit before that. But he's got some really, they're all pretty funny, the stories that he tells. And there's another one here on the record, on the vinyl. And also I should point out here that if you don't have a record player, there's a digital download of the vinyl record in here, so that you can play it on your computer if you don't own. So another thing we did with this, and get back to Joe in a second, was that the music that's on the CD and the music on the vinyl and the video are all different. They're all kind of intertwined in parts, all right, but there's some parts different in all 3 of them. But going back to Joe Kearney, so Joe has all these stories that he got from other people around, and from, I guess he learned some of them, they're kind of better known yarns. And he started telling them with this very distinctive accent from Gorta Vohar, where he's from. And I mean, I love them because he's like a rare breed. There's not many like him around anymore.
Hello, Vincey.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the song, the beautiful song about the Spanish Armada that your sister sang. Is that a recent song? Is it an old song? I never heard it before.
No, that song was only composed like a year ago.
It's so
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Do you know who wrote it?
I do, yeah. Actually, and on the extended version, I should have probably played the whole thing and kept you here all day, but on the extended version of the video, Niall Finnegan, the guy that wrote that song, he's actually performing another song that he wrote as well. And so that song, as Mary was explaining there, came as a result of a photograph he saw of the Spanish Armada in, I think it was in Miltown Malbay, and he researched into, what happened. And so seemingly that one of the ships of the Spanish Armada went down right off the coast of Clare when it was like only a mile offshore, and there was a bunch of people drowned in it, from locals as well.
Well, I want to borrow that song from your sister. Is that okay?
Oh,
Add it to
absolutely.
my repertoire.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. She'd be delighted.
It's gorgeous, and
Yeah.
she did a fabulous job.
She's
Gorgeous song.
she's
Do
a
you know
good.
my friend Mary O'Sullivan in Milltown Malbay?
I
Box
would.
player.
I know her all right from back years ago, but I haven't seen her for a long, long time though.
All right, I
Yeah.
was talking to her yesterday.
Oh, brilliant.
Anyway, thanks for the film. It's gorgeous.
Oh,
Loved it.
thank you so much. We're very happy with it now. It kind of captured what we were trying to do. Trying to get the feeling of something that's lost in a lot of places. But I think once you go to the rural places, there's still a fair bit of it around.
Hi, can you speak about the use of Gaelic versus English in the music, and if there are pubs in Ireland right now where they're composing new music in Gaelic? So again, the Gaelic versus English issue.
Yeah, you'd have to go. You'd have to go to the Gaeltacht areas, and I don't know if you were at the concert last night at the Fright and Salvage. Iarlaw Leonard is a Gaelic speaker from West Cork, and if you wanted to check out what he is doing now, it's absolutely fantastic. He's a great singer. But there's new Peadar O'Reilly is a musician from West Cork that has composed loads of new songs and tunes and everything like that. It also goes on in Connemara as well, in the Gaelic-speaking parts of Connemara. And there's also another thing which is very unusual in Connemara, that there's a few musicians in Connemara that play like country and western music, but written in Gaelic. The lyrics are in Irish. You won't find that too often now, but there's a few. Anybody else? Okay. Yeah, he's a butcher, yeah. He hasn't actually, and I should have. He does another song actually called "The Chamber" on the record as well. And this is a very amusing song too, because the song, and actually he performs it in the video. But what happened, how this song came about was he was telling us that his butcher stall, or his shop, is right in the middle of the square of Gort, County Galway, and there was a new facility put up there recently, a new bathroom built right across from his store in the last couple of years. But he obviously didn't want that there. He was hoping that they might put a statue of Lady Gregory or something, a bit more, with a bit more historical context to it. So he wrote this song called "The Chamber," because there's the Chamber of Commerce in Gort that put the new bathroom in. But he is also referring to the chamber pot, as you can imagine, too. So the two things get kind of mixed in there together. So I think you like that one now, and that's Niall's song as well. And actually, he was supposed to come out, but something came up in his family, and he had to cancel that like a week ago, which was too bad, because I was really hoping he could make it.
My question is, has much changed in pub culture in the last 30 years since when you lived there to now? It would be different in small towns from cities.
It is, yeah. Well, they brought in fairly strict drunken driving laws in Ireland, and of course the same as everywhere else, but it kind of killed off a lot of the pubs, But for some reason, Whelan's pub, and Whelan's as we call it, is they're actually doing better, because it's kind of, out of the way, and there's no major highways where people would be speeding or anything. They're just, you've seen the little roads, narrow roads. So most people have somebody drive them down or drop them off or something and go on the bicycle or something like that. So that place is still doing very, very well. And Mikey Whalen, the guy that owns it, is a great character as well. He's a great welcome for people, and he'd make you feel at home no matter where you came from in his pub. And actually, there was another thing completely aside from this that came up there recently. There was a movie and it was featured in the New York Times there about 2 months ago, and it was about the famous photograph that was taken in the Rockefeller Center with all the guys sitting on the beam. And it's probably the most famous photograph in all of America, that particular one. And there was two guys, one guy each into the beamer from Shanaglish. So they made a movie about that as well. I haven't seen it yet actually, but it's supposed to be very good too. So it kind of just funny, all of a sudden this place was never heard of, and then it came up twice in the 1 week.
We're actually hoping to have that film in the festival next year.
Yes, that's right.
Men at Lunch.
Men at Lunch, yeah, should be fantastic.
It's a documentary film produced by 2 Irishmen and with a lot of input from historians from New York City. It's an amazing film.
That made me think of the carriage, the photograph that you had.
Yes.
And were you you said you and your brother were there? Yes. Were you the little one in the front?
I was, yeah. Well, I went downhill from that, as you can see, of course.
Any other thoughts for Vincey?
I am just curious for how long you're here and whether you're having an opportunity to meet with other Irish musicians while you're here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean living in San Francisco, is it? No, I live here. I've been living here.
You live here? Oh, you live
I do.
here.
I've been here since 1982.
Oh, I see. So
and
you're not just visiting.
My wife over there, Missy, and my daughter
so
Rosie is selling
then.
the records for me down there.
Okay, thank you.
I saw one person dancing in the film. Is there dancing a lot in the pubs or not?
Well, there is, but the thing about Whalen's pub, it's so small that there's not much room for dancing. But having said that, it does take place there. They'll just push everybody out of the way and go for it. But there's not a lot of room in that little place now. It's pretty small. It's just maybe hold about 40 people, I suppose, altogether. Maybe he did build a new little section out the back. All right, now it's a little bit bigger than it used to be.
Vincey, talking about geography a bit more, you've performed so much in your home in the west of Ireland and out here. So I'm wondering when you're going to come to the far west of Ireland and perform up in Montana.
Well, I know I've definitely we had this discussion 100 times, so I'll have to do it soon. I must get a few. Well, maybe we might. I don't know whether I'll be able to do it this time around. Paddy is coming for a week and a half, but it would really be nice if we could do it and bring the film there as well. If not, we should do it sometime next summer, because I mean, how many times did I talk to you about that over the years, and we never got around to doing it. But at some point we'll have to, for sure, and I'd love to do that.
Okay. Well, maybe you can join me in putting our hands together to say thank you to Vincey one more time. And I encourage you all to purchase the LP, the CD, the DVD. I think the CD itself is $15, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
The CD itself is $15, but if you buy the whole package, which is the old-time vinyl, the DVD, and the CD, it's only $25. It's a terrific package to have. It's very entertaining. And so Rosie's in the back there, and she'd be happy to make that available to you. Again, on behalf of Margaret and myself, a great thanks to Joan Jasper, the San Francisco Public Library, the Friends of the San Francisco Public Library, Ranger Pipelines, and of course to all of you who just bring such richness and depth to the work that we do here at Crossroads. So many, many, many thanks to you. And the festival continues. Today is the opening day. It continues until April 26th. There's a schedule of events. Please take one as you walk out the door. Most of